The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back. Another hot episode of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Poopy. I got my man Aunt Petty Murphy in the building. What's good with you, my boy?
What's going on with the dog?
It looked like I shrunk.
Yeah, I was just about to say you look like you short, bro.
There we go. Yeah, we ain't been home in a minute. It's But man, this is another good one. Looking forward to tonight. We got a lot to talk about. It's funny because as I was going through trying to, we were trying to get topics together. I was like, we had this topic we was gonna talk about. We had this topic gonna talk about. We had to change this. We had to fix this. But then I had some stuff in there. I was like, we still can talk about that. Same story, different week. So we're gonna get into it. But other than that, man, how you been, my boy? I ain't talked to you in a minute. Well, I ain't seen you in a minute. I talked to you, but I ain't seen you in a minute.
Man, same old, bro. You know how it is. Work, kids, life be life, and
Yeah. I got the surprise Dylan, man. He didn't know I was coming home early. So I popped up and he was like, Daddy. He ran, gave me a hug, said, wait. And then he just got like he was doing some kind of you ever seen the videos of when the dogs get the zoomies?
Yeah.
He had like the human version of zoomies, man. So yeah. I came home a day too late too, man. My daughter had prom yesterday. I did get the video chat and tell her date. Say, hey, I got to get that speech, you know what I'm saying, that we got, you know what I'm saying? Hey, and Jed, you know how I ain't even have to say much of like, hey, keep your hands to yourself. Don't take nothing over for no 99 and 2000. All right, man. But let's get into it, man. First we gotta do give shout out to our sponsor over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We'll be back.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Hey, we are back. Man, it's been some shakeup, man. We was gonna, like I said, we had some stuff to talk about. Bo Davis takes a job with the Saints. That Saints LSU big brother, little brother kind of role, man. That fight between them, man. It's like a love hate thing. But Bo Davis leaves, takes a job with the Saints. Congratulations to Bo Davis. I don't think anybody's kind of faulting him for that. It's a little bit bittersweet. It's a lot more sweet than it is bitter now. But initial thoughts of Bo Davis taking that job.
I mean, I don't think anybody could really fault him for it. Whenever you take into consideration the NFL is like the pinnacle of the sport. I think a lot of coaches want to see if they can coach at that level, and he's already coached at that level, so he knows what it's like and what it takes to to be at that level. So I think he just wanted kind of a that that different challenge in a sense. And when we talk about all the things going on in the college game today with the portal, NIL, and all that kind of stuff, we've seen a lot of coaches leave college for the NFL, and this is just another example of it. And depending on who you ask, some people will say that, Bo's been trying to get back to the NFL for a while now. So this might have just been his first opportunity that he's gotten. So I can't really fault him for it. I wish him the best of luck. And I mean, I'm a Saints fan too. So it ain't really hurting me, the fact that he's still going to one of my teams and we could really use him down there in New Orleans. So, hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I'm be honest. The Saints probably need more than LSU at that right now. But I think it's good. I know a lot of people did. There were a lot of think pieces on this. Why he was leaving, and is this a sign? I do want to say, because we brought it up, and it's been put out everywhere. We even put out a tweet about how many coaches, defensive line coaches, have been at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to 2009. Let's see. LSU has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different defensive line coaches. Tank Guillory, friend of the show. This will be year number 6, 5, 6. And he's had a defensive line coach, a new defensive line coach every year.
I think this is year 6, and this is 8th defensive line coach.
Is it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The year Lindsay was
yeah,
multiple people coached that season. So
yeah.
Yeah, he's had a different one every year and basically had 3 that year. So
yeah.
Revolving door for sure.
Yeah, stability is something that definitely is needed for the defensive line position, defensive coaches. And LSU fans no longer have to wait. The new defensive line coach is here, and it is a familiar face. Fresh off a stint as defensive coordinator at Ruston, Kyle Williams, former LSU great, former Buffalo Bills star player, is now the defensive line coach for LSU Tigers. That one was met with mixed reviews, which is crazy. So you know what I did, Ant? I did some research. I did some Anthony Jerome Marshall. I know that ain't your middle name, but it fit right now. Anthony. I don't know why I said Jerome.
That don't fit at all. Though.
Anthony.
It's all good. I get your point.
Anthony L. Marshall, and the L stands for looking shit up all the time. All right, so I did some research, and this is Kyle Williams, his NFL career. He played in 183 games. He started in 178. He had 609 total tackles. Of that, 387 was solo. He had 103 tackle for losses, 48 and a half sacks, 141 QB hits. He had 6 Pro Bowl appearances. He also added 1 rushing touchdown. As a coach at Ruston, he was the DC from 2020 to 2024. And one thing that people are always talking about is development. So this is his impact and who he was able to develop at Ruston. And this is just ironically, just looking at this is like the last 2-3 years. You had Ahmad Bro, who's at LSU, Jordan Guidry, who's at Tulane. Ironically, I met Jordan. He was on the I met him and his family. He was on the he committed to Tulane when we were on our visit. Jaden Mayfield, who's at La Tech, and also Zarek Hill, who's at La Tech, Aiden Anding, who's at LSU. So those are some of the players that he was able to develop and influence and help coach to get to this level.
So I know a lot of people got a problem with the he's never been a college coach before and all that, but we've seen multiple schools hire guys to be position coaches who don't necessarily have college coaching experience. If you look up who is the University of Miami's defensive line coach, it's a guy named Jason Taylor, who happens to be a 6-time Pro Bowler. Um, who
Hall of
he,
Famer.
yeah, I mean, I'm just you said
Yeah,
Kyle Williams, the 6-time Pro Bowler,
Yeah.
who was a high school defensive coordinator. Jason Taylor was a high school defensive coordinator that went to Miami 1 year as an analyst and then became the defensive line coach. Warren Sapp, 7-time Pro Bowler, just was hired as Colorado's defensive line coach. I didn't really hear no backlash for none of them hires. You know what I mean? So what's really the difference whenever you look at the fact that they both multiple time Pro Bowlers, no real college experience, getting hired to be a position coach, and Kyle Williams, multiple time Pro Bowler, never really had no college experience, getting hired to be a position coach. He's not asked to run the defense. He's not asked to scheme up against other offenses. He's not asked to do none of that. He's asked to worry about one room, and at LSU, particularly one position group, the defensive tackles, because you got people who's working with the defensive ends and the edge rushers. So you're asking him to work with the position group that he was for what 13 years in the NFL or something like that.
Correct.
Come on, bro. Like, and look at what he did with Ahmad Bro and Gidry, 2 guys who were able to not only go to, P4, if you want to say the American Conference, the P5 or whatever, you know what I mean? But, high level football and be ready to play right away. You know what I mean? So I think he'll be fine in his role at LSU in terms of being able to coach and develop players. And when it comes to recruiting, I mean, he's coached against some of these guys that he's trying to recruit in Louisiana. He's been to coaching clinics with some of these high school coaches in Louisiana. You know what I mean? He's got relationships across the state from his 4 or 5 years at Ruston. And so I think he'll be fine, man. I think whenever you look at the fact that we got other elite recruiters on this staff to help him out in certain areas recruiting, I don't think that'll really be no problem, bro. I think Kyle Williams is a great pickup for LSU.
Yeah. Completely agree. What's good, Julian, and our good man DK. Julian sounded off. He hit us up in the chat, but he with this comment, but he also sent a message in DMs and was kind of talking about this. He's like, I don't get why people are skeptical about this hire, and this point, you just brought up, and Julian, what I'm saying, kind of echoes. He will help with high school recruiting, and since he coached in Louisiana, he can help get those kids to stay home and go to LSU. I know that's not necessarily a easy feat. It's a great selling point. A lot of people are going to be skeptical about whether he can recruit. I understand. I think, like Julian said, and what you just mentioned, he has these relationship with these coaches. He's coached against these kids. Stuff. I think the biggest thing, Kyle Williams he's 41.
Mm-hmm.
He still can relate to a lot of these kids.
Well, he just spent 5 years being in high school locker room. He knows how to relate to these kids, man.
Yeah. He can, as long as he can develop and get players, and he can show, that, hey, I mean, because as a high school athlete himself, he was dumb. So and like you said, he doesn't have to draw up schemes, although I think he could, since he was a defensive coordinator. He's just got to teach techniques. And our good man Preston mentioned it. Of all positions to come into college ranks and not necessarily have experience, defensive line is probably the best one, because you don't have to teach scheme. All you have to teach is technique.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, to the point that Julian was making, I'm just going to mention two guys. All right, so class of 2026, Dylan Behrman. Mm-hmm. Dylan Behrman plays in this exact same district that Kyle Williams coached in for the last 3 years. He coached against Dylan Behrman for 3 years. You don't think that he has some kind of relationship, where he can hit up Dylan Behrman or speak with Dylan Behrman, and it's not going to be like he's talking to a stranger?
Yeah.
Then there's a sophomore right now, all world in 2 sports, who just so happens to be at Ruston High School, Ahmad Hudson. When it comes time for Ahmad Hudson to decide where he wants to go to school, the fact that his former coach is on LSU staff, you don't think that's going to factor in any? So I'm not saying that LSU is going to land both of those guys, but I'm just saying that Kyle Williams being there gives LSU some kind of relationship and connection with both of these players that wasn't there before Kyle Williams got there.
Yeah. DK Moore went to Oregon.
Yeah. Relationship.
One of the biggest reasons was he had a familiar face in Oregon that he could connect with. Yep. Exactly what you're talking about. Kyle Williams is a familiar face. Whether he coached against, coached with, spoke with, these guys, I mean, when you go through that handshake line at the end of the games, exactly. Most of the time you shake those hands, you talk, hey, good game 7, hey, good game 25. That stuff matters. Like you said, having that familiar face and stuff in that locker room, that's going to be big. But that does lead to. And do you have anything else on Kyle Williams hire before we move on? Because that does lead to something else that happened today in the college ranks. Eddie George accept the new role as the Bowling Green head coach. Congratulations to Eddie George. He was recently at Tennessee State, where he led them to the FCS playoffs. I think it's the second round of the FCS playoffs. Did a phenomenal job. He had been having that team on the verge, and finally got them into the playoffs, and was building something special. I hate to see him leave at Tennessee State, but love what he's doing. It is only bodes well for the for HBCUs to get that attention. But that brings up another question. Brings up something else that stands out with this. Eddie George is leaving for Tennessee. I mean, for Bowling Green. It is March 9th. Mm-hmm. A lot of schools have started spring practice.
Yep.
We know how it feels for quarterbacks or wide receivers or running backs. I'm gonna stick with quarterbacks since they have the most impact. We know how it is for quarterbacks to come to a team late spring or and how much time it takes for them to adjust. Now you've got your head coach coming at this point. Talking with our man Julian again earlier, and he brought this up. I'm gonna ask you, Ant, because this not only impacts teams and coaches and stuff, these players, and I know the saying you shouldn't go to a school for a coach and stuff like that. But we saw what happened last year when Saban left, and the 400 and some coaching changes that happened because of it. I'm not saying Eddie George is going to have that same impact, but this is becoming a trend. Should there be a cutoff for when coaches leave or something like that to, I guess, I'm trying to think the best way to put it. So if we're doing like, and this I know this is gonna go back. If we talk about all the time these portal win, and I know it's different. We talk about portal winners and stuff, but should there be like a cutoff for coaches changing teams as far as like head coaches?
I get what you're saying, but I don't know how you enforce it. Yeah. Because Bowling Green's head coach left to go to the NFL. So what is Bowling Green supposed to do? Not hire a coach?
No, I think they should. But
so if you put this rule in place, you'll never be able to stop college coaches from going to the NFL.
Right.
So when that inevitably happens, like it did in this situation, if you would have put a rule in place saying college coaches can't leave their job after February 1st or something, you know what I'm saying? Like when Bowling Green coach left in February 20 something, they would be like, okay, we can only hire a high school coach or a former NFL coach. Like you handcuff who they're able to hire because they can hire no current college coach because he can't leave his job. So I just don't feel like schools would agree to that because you're in a sense handcuffing the schools from who they're eligible to hire if they're ever in that situation.
You're right. And I agree. I understand. But then the sentiment also falls back on, but what do we do? Because now with the head coaches leave, doesn't that open up the rule for the players that now have like 30 days?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's that trickle down effect.
And the problem is, let's use Tennessee State for example. All right, if Eddie George leaves and let's say they hire you as the head coach. Okay. If 30 players leave, you have no way of replacing those 30 players because there's no more transfer windows.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Well, there is at the spring window, so I guess it's still, yeah.
It's all right. We're going 6-5 first year,
but
11-0 next year.
So I mean, I get the sentiment. I just don't see how you could ever really.
Yeah, and that's it. That goes back to the, like I said, the conversations we've had in the past, and I get it from both sides. I understand it from both. As a parent of a student athlete, and I can sympathize. I still wouldn't want my child to leave, at least not that soon. Because you're still going to put yourself at a disadvantage going to a new school, being behind the 8 ball, especially depending on what position you play. Having to learn new schemes and stuff like that, it's going to be, a lot harder on you.
Then all you really have is fall camp to work your way up the depth chart. You don't have summer and spring and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, it's unfortunate. I honestly felt like Tennessee State was building something. I felt like
I think that situation, because people brought up the Dion and Willis Simmons. And I think that's totally. I think he left because of the financial questions that Tennessee State has. I don't think he left for football reasons.
Gotcha. Plus that, but Dion left
We all know it's different. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm saying
People,
he left after.
I saw people saying stuff like, why won't Eddie George get the backlash that Deion got, all that kind of stuff. But his reasons for leaving were totally different.
Yeah, his reasons for leaving, how he left,
his whole tenure was different.
Completely different. And I will say, looking back on it, hindsight, I still don't like how Deion left. But I do think that both parties benefited in the end.
Yeah,
Jackson State got better and Deion got better. So it's hindsight is completely different.
It worked for both parties.
Yeah. Now, FAMU on the other end, that's a different story. That's a different story. Let's say that one. Table that for another day.
I mean,
yeah,
it worked for Willie leaving.
Yeah, it did work for Willie. Willie lost some weight. Yeah.
And he at FIU now?
Yeah. Head coach at FIU now.
Yeah.
Yeah. One year at Duke, and now he's a head coach at FIU. So yeah. Adrian started stuff. I ain't gonna even get into it. Get started with you, Adrian. Not tonight, my boy. You ain't finna get me caught up. Get me canceled by the people. But man, let's move on real quick. Ladies basketball, women's basketball. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Oh.
I don't know if Dooley ever lost to Mississippi Valley though. Not at home. LSU women's basketball. LSU
cold-blooded.
LSU's women's basketball fell yesterday to Texas. The game was kind of Texas kind of jumped out a little bit. LSU kind of made it the game. They were playing without Flage to start the game, in the first place. And then Aneesah Morrow rolled her ankle and went out. And that was all she wrote. Michaela kind of struggled a bit from the field. She kind of found herself a little bit later on, but it was still too little, too late. So, yeah.
That yesterday is ammunition for all the people who want to get rid of conference tournaments. Because you get a star player who gets banged up going into the NCAA tournament, even though everybody says she'll be fine for the NCAA tournament. It's just getting banged up, that soon before the tournament is never a good thing. Especially when you already got one player who's already, nursing injury and not playing in the conference tournament. But I mean, they played one of the best games they played all season the game before against Florida. Then you come out and I just think Texas is a bad matchup because of their size on the inside. Like Oldacre, like that, we ain't really got nobody. LSU ain't really got nobody that can, you know what I'm saying, match that. But when you factor that into the fact that you only have one of the big three really available, and she got in foul trouble and didn't play a whole bunch too, and she wasn't at her best, she was kind of in the shooting slump, you really at a disadvantage, and you need the others to step up. And I mean, they played good enough to get themselves a chance to win, but they just didn't have enough firepower down the stretch with just Michaela on the floor.
Part of me I want to say some things, but I'm going to be tactful in how I say this. there's been a lot of talks in them Twitter space streets and Twitter about um, player development. There's been a lot of talk about how LSU survives or how we do with certain, with players and stuff and what we're going to do. ADR, that should be a case study. The Florida game, I was watching that game and I was like, all right, this she might, she might be, coming into her own. And then the Texas game, she went back into her shell. And you can see the frustration on Kim Mulkey's face. I'm not going to put words in her mouth. I'm not going to try to think piece the situation, but you can visibly see that Kim Mulkey was bothered and upset by not just ADR's play, but the team as a whole, especially with her bigs. But ADR is going to be the scapegoat for a lot of it because it stands out in some of the things that happen. Some of the missed layups and stuff. You see her and her stature and you expect more. Something they used to say when we were playing, hey, you walk off the bus first. Mm-hmm. And ADR is that type player. She gonna walk off the bus first. But then when she get on the court last, and I'm an optimistic person for the most part anyway, and I think it happens. I think that light's gonna come on. I just don't know how long they're gonna keep paying the bill and wait.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I got a lot of questions. We ain't got enough time on this podcast to talk about all the questions that I got about this team, this program, but I'm gonna just sit back and see how it play out, bro. I mean, this team still, when you put the trio together, there's no team in the country that has 3 players as talented as LSU.
Facts.
The question is, how far can those 3 take you? And what contributions will you get from the other, 6, 7 players that you played that night? If you can get some consistency, and that's probably the problem with this team, they bipolar. Like they'll play good, then they'll play bad. They'll play good, they'll play bad. Like if you get consistency from the others, because you pretty much know what you're getting from your big 3. So if you can get the others to play at a consistent level, then you can make a run. But if they're gonna be inconsistent and one night give you 20 points off the bench, the next night give you 4 points off the bench, you might as well hang that championship talk up, bro, because you ain't making it with that kind of contributions from the others.
Yeah, agreed. Like I said, I have faith. I just don't know if this year will be the year. One thing I will say, non-conference play, going into the tournament and stuff, I feel good about the first two rounds. Sweet 16, I feel, depending on how things match up. It's when you start getting to the Elite 8, when you start playing some of the cream, cream of the crop. You play those because I'll be honest with you. So the year that they won it, we were talking. And I remember an episode, we were talking and we were saying, I think there's 3 or 4 teams that could beat LSU. That year. Mm-hmm. This year, there are 3 teams in the SEC that can beat you, and then outside the SEC, I'm looking at you're looking at what 6-7 teams. So how do you know? What I'm saying
teams outside the SEC.
yeah,
I
Connecticut.
would go that many.
Well, let's see, UConn, UCLA, USC. That's 3.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
That's it.
There's somebody else. You know, you're right. You're right. I forget. I say 3-4 teams in the SEC. I forget. I'm counting Texas and Oklahoma, and I forget they're SEC now. But yes,
I mean, like I think there's teams that could give LSU a good game.
I do too.
But I don't know. Too. Like if you saying on paper who can beat LSU, I think it's them 6 teams. We just
now. I will say this. I do think LSU can beat all 6 of those teams as well.
Yeah,
sure. It's gonna be trouble. Every game that LSU has lost this year, they've been in.
Yeah, I don't think nobody good enough to blow LSU out.
Not even South Carolina this year. Honestly.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think nobody, but I think LSU good enough to beat everybody. But it is gonna depend on what team you get that night, bro. Like, I think there's a few other teams that could give LSU problems. But I don't know if they got enough like depth to play. Like Iowa State is a terrible matchup for LSU because we have nobody inside that can stop Audi Crooks.
I was just gonna say Audi, yeah.
But I don't know if they got enough to stop our big 3. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think she can beat us by herself. But at TCU, I think they can give us a good game, but I don't know if they got enough firepower to beat LSU.
Yeah.
So I think there's like 6 teams that can beat LSU, but I think LSU could beat them same 6 teams.
Key said Notre Dame is a stretch depending on which Notre Dame you get.
I mean, that's true, but if I'm looking at it from the fact is Notre Dame has the clear point guard advantage over us. And I don't trust Kim Mulkey to play Poa enough against Notre Dame. Like Kim Mulkey has shown that she'll play offense over defense. So I mean that's why I say Notre Dame.
That goes back to consistency. Because you're gonna it depend. I don't care who you start against Notre Dame. If you start Poa, if you start Miracle, if you start Cheyenne, whoever coming off that bench gotta give you something.
Yeah, but
regardless,
like I think if we played Notre Dame, I think Kim would play Shy most of the game because of Shy's quickness. When you look at Miles and Hidalgo's quickness,
right?
I don't think she would go with Poa, who I think is a better defender than Shy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how that matchup would go with Shy versus Hidalgo or versus Miles. So I mean, we'll see, bro. And Notre Dame, they got some shooters too, and like we good for giving up some wide open threes.
Yeah. We'll see. I think LSU is still right now predicted to be a 2 seed or something like that. We still got a couple weeks to find out. I say a couple weeks. Yeah, I think it's like a week. We got a week before we find out. In our absence, though, man, Aneesah Morrow got her 100th career double-double.
Yep. Crazy, man.
Yeah. Is she the all-time active leader?
Oh yeah, easily. I think it's only 2 play. If I'm not mistaken, there's only 2 women in history who got over 100. It's her and Courtney Paris from Oklahoma. Courtney Paris got like 122 or something ridiculous like that though.
Yeah. Key asked this, and I'm just he said, how far do you think the men go in the conference tourney? I'm gonna go ahead and answer this. They play when on Monday or Tuesday when the tournament start?
I know they play Mississippi State. How far do I think they'll go? To Nashville.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Mississippi State game and back home.
I think they'll go to Nashville and come back home. That's how far I think they'll go.
Yeah. Get ready for the off season, fellas. I wish them best. Yeah, but I don't see it. Not right now. And was looking, man, there's been a lot of change and automation. AI automation, instant replay changes coming into officiating in all sports. I just want to talk about some of the things that they're looking at doing or what they're already doing. Breaking it down by different sports. So the NFL expanded their replay assist process this past season, allowing replay officials to assist with their on-field counterparts with real-time corrections. I think a lot of fans were, a little happy about it, sped the game up a little bit, kind of got some of those quick things. So, there were no wasted challenges by coaches. But then it is expected that the replay assist will expand to also include calls such as face masks, QB slides, QBs running out of bounds. The NFL's instant replay system is poised to become even more advanced with AI and 360-degree camera systems. And they're also considering using an electronic system for measuring first downs.
I'm good with that part.
Yeah.
The AI and all that ain't necessary, bro.
Yeah. So, but here's how, because it don't just start with NFL. Major League Baseball is talking about testing the automatic balls and strike system, ABS, also known as robo-umps, in spring training games. The system uses high-speed cameras and algorithms to determine if a pitch is a ball or a strike. They've been using them in minor league games already. They'll go to a review, and it's almost like tennis, where it'll show on the
or whatever.
Yeah, show on the screen. Speaking of tennis automation includes electronic line judges, AI-powered robots, and video assistant reviews. These technologies are used to improve accuracy, reduce errors, and enhance training experience. The NBA instant replay reviews controversial plays using video monitors, and it's used for accurate, fair calls. In soccer, they use the VAR, the video assistant referee. It's basically a match official. He reviews video footage to help the referee make decisions in soccer. Usually comes into play whether there's a onside, or there's a penalty in the penalty box and stuff like that, where there should be a penalty kick. It's been wildly successful. And then in NHL, instant replay is just a video review system, helps referees confirm whether has to confirm or change calls used for major penalties, match penalties, and goals. So, but like I said, AI, automation, all this stuff is growing in sports.
Stupid. If you're gonna get robots out there, you're gonna get robots out there to play the game too.
We eventually getting there.
I mean, ain't like, all right, let's just pick baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like part of what made baseball great was learning how the umpire was gonna call the strike zone that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then now you go to this automated strike. Like, I get it to a certain extent. You got umpires who got some terrible calls that they make and stuff like that. And if it's egregious, yeah, sure. But some of these, like, on the corner and all that kind of stuff, man, like, the art of framing a pitch is no longer matters. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. You taking away from the game of baseball what made the game of baseball great. And so I feel like the human error and that aspect of the game needs to exist. Now, that doesn't mean we need blatantly wrong calls. I agree with, I'm not going to go that far. Like the no call and some of that kind of stuff. If it's egregious and you can correct it, I'm cool with the like the NFL does with the video replay guy, radioing in saying, hey, that was actually a flag, whatever the case may be. But AI and all this kind of stuff, man, nah, bro.
I'm gonna tell you why the one I don't like. So in baseball, and I get what you're saying. I honestly, a ball and strike, I don't have a problem with them arguing balls and strike with the replay, as long as it's limited to a, what I'm saying. If it's like 2 or 3 a game, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, how many
But
challenges do they get? Can they
that
do?
that's what I need to know. That's the part I need to know. And the reason why I'm gonna tell you why I'm cool with it, that part, but also if you remember the perfect game that was taken away because the ump called a guy safe.
Yeah.
That one,
Galarraga.
it's yeah. That's where because that changed history for the wrong reason.
I agree. Like that was egregious, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
feel like that's one of the ones you should overturn. You know what I mean? But some of these, it actually caught the corner of the. You know what I'm saying? Like that's.
Yeah.
3 per game. I'm cool with that.
Three per game. Yeah, that's cool. I'm also for instance, the NBA. I don't like in the NBA because they'll go in and they'll make a call and then they'll go review it and be like, no, it wasn't a foul. It was actually a travel, but such and such and such and such. It's kind of, I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, I feel like it makes the referees a little lazy.
Well, see, this is what I got a problem with. So, snap! If we're gonna talk about referees, the NBA does the last 2-minute report.
All right.
Well, they'll come out and they'll say, "Oh, that call actually was a foul that was called on, James Harden. It actually shouldn't have been a foul called. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. How about we get that for the whole game? Instead of just the last 2 minutes, let's get it for the whole game. In the NFL, college football, pretty much all sports, they judge their referees. They give them a grading scale. That's how they reward them for bowl games or reward them for playoff games in the NFL, whatever the case may be. Like, let's make these grades like available to the public. Like, let me see. Oh, this week we got a referee crew that's average C, that's got a C average. So we probably finna get some bad calls this game. You know what I mean? Like, let's really be transparent with it if we're gonna do it, bro. My problem with the NBA is the review thing. I get so tired, bro. So tired of seeing every time there's a foul late in the game or every time anything happens late in the game, everybody doing this.
Waving the fingers, yeah.
Oh my, like, bro.
They do it in college. And you don't even have it.
I get so tired of saying that, bro. Like, that's what it's come down to, where we nitpick every play to where we like the same thing happens in the second quarter, but nobody's sitting there saying, go review it, go review it, go review. You know what I mean? Like, I just hate that there's so much emphasis put on the last 2 minutes of the game. Like, that's the only time that really matters.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, there are egregious times that's needed. Yeah. I can see the benefit, and then I can also see because it's hard to say because I like it both ways. Pause. I like the idea of being able to review certain plays. I also want the human element in there as well, because that cause there have been times I'm like, there's no way that you know what I'm saying, then you'd be like, oh man, that referee got some eyes on him, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's dope. So, but I'm with you about like the judge and the referees. But I can tell you where this will be who wants this a lot more. Sports gambling.
Yeah.
They want this really bad because this will really it's already now kind of like you was talking about the NFL, NBA, about the reports on the refs and stuff. There was a guy, there was a capper who used to always say, such and such is refereeing tonight. He usually calls blank, blank, blank. You know what I'm saying? This amount of holding and stuff. So be on the lookout for, you know what I'm saying, a low scoring game, or the home team usually covers when he's refereeing or stuff like that. And it's not a referee bias or anything like that, but it's just the fact that some things have trends, and it's, you know what I'm saying, good to know for bettors. You know what I'm saying? I know they, you know what I'm saying?
Some referees call more fouls, some let the game be a little more physical. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but I just thought that was interesting. I saw that and I started seeing the NFL was talking about expanding that because they were talking about, ironically, bringing up Patrick Mahomes, like when he's running out of bounds, and they're talking about he gets hit right before he gets out of bounds. They're talking about making that a reviewable thing so they can, at least with the quick review, so they can say, hey, nah, he's still in bounds, or his foot hadn't hit the ground, or all that kind of stuff. So so I thought that was interesting. And let's talk some baseball real quick. LSU baseball is ranked number 1. And in their first challenge is number 1. They took on North Dakota State midweek. I turned to the game and the score was 9-1 or something similar, something like that. I turned the game off. I was like, well, I guess the curse of the number 1 ranking lives, but LSU found a way to come back and win that one. They were actually down. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm lying to you. They were down 7-1, and then in the third, down 7-1, and then they made a comeback and end up winning 11-9 over North Dakota State. Came back the following day, took on North Dakota State again, got a run rule, took on North Alabama on Friday, got a run rule. They got a little bit of a challenge on Saturday, got the win 6-2. Then today, it was kind of a close game. It was 5-2 for a good little bit, and then LSU blew it wide open, ended up getting the win 11-5. But LSU baseball has been rolling, bro. They got 1 loss on the season. Of course, that was to Omaha in the series not last weekend, the weekend before last or whatever. But yeah, LSU been rolling, man. Baseball.
Doing what they should be doing, man. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. Shout out to
we up whenever we get to conference play.
Yeah, shout out to that pitching staff, bro. Been phenomenal. Anthony Ianson. He had pitched 7 innings yesterday, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 15 strikeouts, and 2 walks.
Yeah, he had a hell of a game.
Yeah. Chase Shores came in today, had a pretty good game. Kay Anderson, my God. Coming off last year and what we thought, he's been phenomenal this season in his pitching. So yeah, kudos him. This weekend he was, I'm trying to pull it up now. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. 11 strikeouts, 92 pitches. Yeah. Phenomenal, bro. Phenomenal. So but they're not the only ones doing big things on the diamond. Ladies Tigers, the softball team, has been if not as probably, equally as dominating, more, because they have everybody. It seems like every game they play is a run rule almost. Only loss on the season, Cal State Fullerton, and they were making a comeback in that game before they end up losing. But Yeah. And they play some big schools. They play some tough competition, and they have been on fire.
Yeah, they've been rolling too.
Yeah, 23-1, 19-0 at home. Only loss was a true away game. This is another situation when they go into conference play. We will know a little bit more about them, and I believe, yep, they take on ULL on Tuesday, and then Friday they welcome Kentucky to the box. I'm sorry, not to the box, to Tiger Park, and start conference play. So it's gonna be good to see how they do going into what you call it, conference play. So um, this one's a quick hitter. I don't know if I didn't see this coming, but Jimmy Johnson retires from Fox Sports. I know you don't care. He had been with Fox Sports for 31 years.
That's a long ass time.
I didn't, but I was thinking about. I remember when he was coaching.
Yeah,
Like, and so for him to be, you know, what I'm saying,
he left right after he joined Fox right after he stopped coaching.
yeah. So I was like, that's crazy, bro. But man, congratulations to him, stellar career. As both a coach in college, coaching in the pros, and a commentator.
Yeah,
So, um, I don't even want to talk about that. I was gonna say free agency moves for the Saints. You want to talk about that? You know what I'm saying? All right. All right, man. Let's get to it, man. We decided to do a little fun. We didn't do a top five this week, so we decided to do LSU and Saints player grids. And which one you want to go with first?
we could do the Saints first.
All right. So
I don't feel like it's as controversial.
it's go. It's all right, man. Let's hold on. Let me get this. All right. All right. So we did the player grid, man, with the great player, average player, bad player, loved by fans, fans divided, hated fans. I wanted to do something different. I was going to do because everybody did the same one for great player, loved by fans.
Yeah,
I was gonna switch it up, but I went peer pressure got to me. I just went with Drew Brees.
like, who was you gonna put?
I was gonna put
Archie Manning?
Archie Manning.
I don't know if he was a great player though.
That's kind of my I was gonna either do him or dang, there was somebody else I thought about
If
putting
you
in.
would have did like Ricky Jackson, I could have seen that. You know what I mean?
I thought about Ricky Jackson. I thought about Colston, but because nobody really talk about him, but I was like, because I can't put average player, but I don't know if I can
Yeah,
necessarily say
yeah,
great either.
I'm with you.
So, but I went with Drew Brees here. For an average player, loved by fans, Darren Sproles.
That's actually pretty solid.
Darren Sproles.
Pretty
It's
solid.
hard to. It's kind of hard. Now, if I tell you who I had there before, I know somebody who would have been ready to fight with me. But I think what I was thinking about, we'll get to it. But Darren Sproles, it's hard to find anybody who talk bad about Darren Sproles.
Yeah, that's
A bad player loved by fans, Bobby Hebert.
facts.
And when I say bad, he's not necessarily terrible, but he wasn't like people loved him.
Yeah, they
People
do.
love him. So now, great player, fans are divided by Mike Thomas.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know some people like he ain't great. Well, if you look at what he did with times he was healthy, it's them numbers are wild. And it's hard to argue against that. But the injury stuff, whether you know saying you put more fault, put more blame on him, or if you put it on the training staff, that's where the divide comes. But an average player, Jameis Winston, he was who I actually had average player loved by fans. But I put it by divided because there are a lot of Saints fans who are divided by him. I think a lot of people love him a lot more now because of the off the field stuff with the commentating and stuff.
I think that's fair to say he's divided. I think that's fair. I think most love him, but there's still a small faction that don't really care for him.
Yeah. A bad player fans are divided by Jamal Williams.
I don't really know if fans are divided. I think he might be on the bottom row.
He on the bottom row. I got the bottom. All right, you ready for the bottom row? Darren Sharper. I don't even got to explain it.
No comment.
Hate it. You ain't got to explain it. Now, an average player that's hated by fans, Marcus Williams. People never got over.
I don't think he hated though.
They a lot of people have never got over the Minneapolis Miracle.
That's true, but I still think there's a lot of people who think he was a great player when he was here. I would say fans are divided on Marcus. I wouldn't say hated, but I would say divided. I do agree that the Minnesota Miracle people still holding on to that, but I wouldn't say hated though.
All right. Now this one, I don't think nobody gonna disagree with this one. Andrews Pete.
See, I would put him as average player hated by fans.
I think he's a player that is hated. I think
he's average, not bad. And for bad player, I would have put like Eli Apple.
That's fair. That's fair. Toast, burnt toast.
Yeah, like I would have put Pete for average player hated by fans and Eli Apple as bad player hated by fans.
That's fair.
But that's solid. That's solid though. I can't really knock it too much. That's solid.
All right. Now let's go to yours. Go to the LSU player.
Yeah, man. LSU one it's a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it is. Hold on, why this thing? Oh, there you go. There you go. All right. This one is All right. All right. Here you go. You ready?
Yeah, all right. So the first one is kind of easy, man. Like, boom. Joe Burrow, great player, loved by fans. Average player loved by fans. And some people might say he ain't really average, but if you look at his numbers, like they ain't as great as you remember them to be. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a good player, but he ain't like an all-time LSU great running back. But
for those, yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, go ahead.
And bad player loved by fans. I mean, I ain't never seen a quarterback who was this bad get so much love, bro. Like, people still swear we would have beat Alabama if he would have played. You know what I mean? Like, he gets love.
I'm glad you said that. Wait till we get the would you rather.
That's Jared Lee for those who don't know. Bad player loved by fans.
All right.
Great player, fans are divided. Jamarcus Russell.
But the crazy thing about it,
you can't deny what he did at LSU.
That's my thing. Everybody brings up the NFL stuff, and it's like that's different.
Yeah, but
you can't separate the NFL from college. It's crazy.
I know, but because of the way his NFL career went, there's LSU fans who really don't care for him. So
Yeah.
I feel like the fan base is divided on him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right though.
Average. This one was kind of tough for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
Average player that fans are divided on. I went with
Oh,
Damone. I
my
went
bad.
with I went with Damone Clark. Boy, you stupid boy.
My bad. I don't know why that flip flop there. We'll figure it out in a
I
minute.
went I went with the I went with Damone Clark because I feel like his last year he got a lot of people on his side, but
Yeah.
before that there was a lot of people who was trashing him and hating on him and didn't really.
Oh,
Whoa, what just happened?
that's my bad.
Didn't really care for him. So I feel like his last year made up for it a little bit. So people love him a little bit, but there's some who still feel like he wasn't all that.
Yeah.
Bad player, fans are divided. Flip flop. You know what that means, man. Miles Brennan, bro. and and I struggle with the bad part
Yeah.
because when he played, he was put up some decent numbers. You know what I mean? But he never really played.
He stayed injured
And so, like,
every year.
your best ability is availability. And if you ain't never available, you can't really be that good. So, but the fans are divided. You still got people who love Miles Brennan to this day. For what reason, I have no real clue. But hey, that's their prerogative. But I just feel like he's the divided is definitely the perfect term for how the fans feel about Miles Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
These three were kind of easy for me. Great player, hated by fans, Darius Geis.
Ironically, the same reason that Darren
Yeah,
Sharp.
yeah, and stuff that happened outside of football. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nothing football related with that. The next one, average player, hated by fans, Eli Ricks. I feel like before he even transferred to Alabama, there was still some people who hated Eli Ricks. But once he transferred to Bama, he definitely became hated. So he fits the criteria there. And bad player, hated by fans. Another quarterback, Brandon Harris.
So I was thinking about this. I just thought about this. I know you were talking about like the average player loved by fans. You could have put Matt Flynn.
I could have. Yep.
That's that because that's one that what I'm saying. I know definitely. Yeah, but that's the only other than that, man. This list is I think spot on. I think it's spot on. So average player fans are divided on instead of Damone Clark, Menberger. That's definitely a person.
Yeah. We could have did like an all quarterback one.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Yeah, but man, I think you were spot on with this list, bro. I think you're spot on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, I think you gonna. I worked a little bit overtime try to get these would you rather's ready, and I think you might like these. So, without further ado, would you rather? Would you rather own a basketball team or a football team?
Football team. They valued higher. That's the only reason why.
It's more money in basketball, right?
But if you look at what like the franchises sell for, NFL franchises
I get what you're
always
saying.
sell for more.
Yeah. I was gonna put baseball in there. I knew you would pick. I already knew. I said no. I'm not gonna give them that. No, too easy. All right. Would you rather be mid at trash talking or mid at pregame speeches?
Ooh. I'd rather be mid at pregame speeches.
Same, but it's for one reason only.
I mean, James Winston got famous off being mid at pregame speeches. But I'm not really the pregame speech type of guy anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really don't care if I'm good at it or not, but I got to trash talk, dog. I can't be weak at trash talk.
I'd rather be mid at pregame speeches because you don't hear everybody pregame speech.
Yeah.
You know about people trash talk.
Yeah.
You know. So
unless
that's
you're
more.
Winston, then we know about your pregame speech.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Would you rather be an athlete today or in the 90s?
Today. No question about it. Just for the money.
Okay. All right. Would you rather lead the league in, and this is basketball, would you rather lead the league in assists and blocks or rebounds and steals?
Assist and blocks. Cause that means you're doing some crazy stuff, bro. Like rebounds and steals is still like some crazy stuff, but like I feel like getting steals is easier than getting blocks. You know what I'm saying? Like deflecting the pass and stuff is easier than going up and blocking a shot. So, and plus, I'd rather get an assist than a rebound. So, give me assist and blocks.
Gotcha. All right. This one, I think this one gonna really. Would you rather relive 2019 LSU or rewrite 2011 LSU?
Relive 2019.
Let me rewrite 2011 because all it's only one chapter I got to rewrite.
But that's the thing,
that's the final chapter.
That's true.
And if I rewrite that,
if you rewrite that, then you still get to live 2019 also. So
if I rewrite 2011 LSU, I might have 2019 and 2017, 2018, you know what I'm saying, before, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. But 2019 was just so.
It was so good. Oh, dog, you just don't know how.
It was just so lovely, man.
Man, tell me about it, man. We had so much fun. So much fun, dog. I never forgot I went and bought my cigar and some bourbon that morning. Dude in there, y'all ain't gonna win. You ain't got to worry about it. You ain't gotta light one up.
I was down there getting toe up in New Orleans, boy. What a night. What a night.
Yep. Man. Then the world wanted to fell apart. Yep. Good times. All right, man. That's it, man. That's all I got
for you. Would you rather be part of a dynasty, or would you rather bring a franchise their first ever title?
Ooh.
Like when I say be part of a dynasty, like the Lakers, you know, like win one for the Lakers or the Yankees or somebody, or would you rather be like Kawhi and win Toronto's first title? You know what I mean? Like that type of thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking because I always think more football. So would I rather be?
Would you rather be?
Would I rather be the Patriots or would I rather be the 2009 Saints?
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you rather be the court? Not necessarily like the Patriots, but like, would you rather like Brock Purdy and win the title for a team that's got 7 of them, or would you rather be, win one for the team that's bringing it first? No, you're right. Would you rather win 3 titles for a team like the Patriots or win one for the Saints?
I'm gonna do a spin on it because the only reason I say I'm gonna do a spin on it, I want to win the first title for a team. I'm tell you why. You said win the first title. You say win their only title.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's their first though, so you can win first. You know what I'm saying?
I can win that first one, and regardless, I'm etched in history. Like people still, that's one of the reasons we just did the whole greats that people. The one reason why people love Drew Brees so much is because he was the quarterback for that team. That epic picture where he's holding his child with the headphone and the, saying confetti falling down. People still remember that, and still talk about that. And Drew Brees has had some moments where stuff has come up and people have given him the benefit of the doubt and moved on about it. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Because of that love for him. So yeah. And I will say, well, actually, you know what? This is crazy because I mentioned the Patriots. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Brady get them their first one?
Yeah, I think so.
And then moved on and built the dynasty. So yeah. So
that's what I was kind of like, because see, I was kind of thinking of like, would you rather be like take like LeBron if he win one for the Lakers this year, right? Mm-hmm. Like they got what 18 already or whatever the case may be.
This will be the 18th they did. I think they got 17.
Yeah. Okay, so they got 17 already, right?
Yeah.
But if Shea bring one to OKC, this their first title.
Yeah.
Like, which would you rather do? Would you rather be LeBron and bring them the most in history, or would you rather bring OKC they first?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's what made me think about it. I was thinking about LeBron versus Shea. Would you rather
or if you just stick with LeBron, would you, you know what I'm saying? LeBron brought the Heat there, you know what I'm saying, 2 and 3. Yeah. Versus when he brought Cleveland that one. I think the one in Cleveland meant a lot more than
one in Cleveland meant more than all 3 of the other ones put together.
Yeah. So
just because it was the place that drafted him, his hometown, and they never won one. And not just they never won one, the damn town ain't won one. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
shit, I never forget when they almost won in baseball too.
Oh yeah.
They blew a 3-1. Golly.
That's it. But jump to a prime example of it, like Nick Foles. Nick Foles won Philadelphia. They got a statue of this dude because he won them. He ain't the best quarterback to play in Philadelphia.
Not by a long shot. Yeah.
He wasn't the best quarterback on the team that season.
That's true.
But he the one that won him the Super Bowl, so he get the statue. You know what I mean? So I would rather be Nick Foles and win, the one Super Bowl for a place like Philadelphia than be, Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco and winning their 5th one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Dog, Cleveland is good this year, bro.
Cold, boy. That's something serious.
Cleveland is cold.
They're doing it under the radar too. Nobody's still talking about it.
Yeah. Did you see Charles Barkley throwing shots at ESPN about the whole Kendrick Perkins called them idiots and stuff? You know what we didn't talk about?
We ain't got time to talk about it tonight, but we can talk about it next time. So we got plenty of time to talk about it. Right. I already know what you're going. But that's one of the that's gonna be a 45-minute conversation. So we got to get that time.
All right. Well, we'll be back later on this week. Bring you more conversation. Make sure you got us locked in. Do us a favor: like, subscribe, share. Turn on that notification bell so you know when we go live. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let me get the theme music going.
This show is presented by betonline.ag.
Bring me my money.
You can find the Golden Boot Podcast on YouTube at Golden Boot. On Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On Facebook at the Golden Boot Pod. on TikTok at Golden Boot. Or listen on all streaming platforms. Golden Boot!